Have your grades dropped? Make your parents proud. Go to the GOAT's website, www.mrmatheng.net.
I love math. I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you? I love math.
So this problem says match the function with its graph by writing a letter to the blank. So each of these, I look at my problem here, I realize I'm going starting down, ending up, so that means it's an odd. My leading coefficient is positive. I'm looking for ones that are odd. These are these two. This one's the only one that's positive. Another way you know that it's positive, the answer is number 3 matches graph A, because you can count the x-intercepts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 x-intercepts, and then the extremas 1, 2, 3, 4. Extremas is degree minus 1. So if we have 4 extremas, that means we must have a degree of 5. Graph B starting both up, so that's an even. They're both up, so the leading coefficient is positive. Remember, x squared, they both start positive. The only one that has an even that's positive would be choice 2. And then again, you can look at the x-intercepts. Remember, when it bounces here, that's actually 2 x-intercepts or 2 roots. So that's 2, 4, 6. That'd be 6 roots. And then you can also do extremas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 minus 1 gives you 5 extremas, which I just counted. Graph C, I have starting up, ending down. That is an odd. Leading coefficient negative. That would be choice equation number 1, so 1c. Again, you can also tell by the extrema 1, 2, so that would be the degree minus 1 equals the extrema, so this one. And then you can also do by the x-intercepts. Remember, the x-intercepts, it's a max, it's not just equal to, so 1, 2, 3 has a max of 3 x-intercepts. And the last graph, even, because they starts down, ends down, and the leading coefficient is negative. And the only one that is an even and negative would be choice 4, which would be D. Those were 1 point apiece. Identify the end behavior of the polynomial. I'm first going to look at the degree. My degree here is odd. Look at your easiest odd degree, which is x to the first. Start down and you're going to end up. And then my leading coefficient here is positive, which means my arrows will stay. I don't know if you want more details. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But anyways, the big idea as your x values go positive, let me just write, I like to just write it out. And then I can just match it up. Remember, the reason why I give you a graph here is on your x values, this is positive numbers, and this is, oh, it's right there, negative numbers. And on the y-axis, going down is negative numbers, and then up here is positive numbers. So, remember in class we kind of drew a box around this? This pink box is always the same. As you go positive infinity, that's going towards the right, and as you go negative infinity. So you have to test it as you go towards the right. What happens to my graph? It's going up. Up is positive infinity. And then as you go towards the left, the graph goes down. Down is negative on the y-axis, or f of x. And so then I'm looking for one that matches this. So they kind of mixed up the order, so pay attention to that. So positive, positive, negative, negative. Positive, positive, negative, negative. That would be this one right there. C would be my answer. Determine algebraically whether the function is even, odd, or neither. So this question is the star question. And you're going to substitute negative x for every x value. And then you're going to observe their outputs. Okay, so let's do that. Every x value, I'm putting negative x. I have PEMDAS, order of operations, to help me. So I'm going to write that 3 times. So negative times negative times negative is negative, so I get negative 4x to the third here. Positive, negative, so negative x squared plus 7. So does that look like the original? We would say it does not look like the original. So that would be even. So it's not that one. Odd is if it's the opposite of the original. So you can factor out negative 1. Negative 1 times something equals 4x to the third. So this would be 4x to the third. Positive x squared. And this would be minus 7, right? So in here, is that the original? No. Not the opposite of the original. Therefore, it is neither. Answer is C. Question number 5. With multiple choice, which polynomial function r of x or t of x has a lesser degree? So let's take a look at it. I'm going to try to figure out what kind this is so you can graph it. Negative 2, 15, negative 1, 6, 0, 1, 1, 0, and then right 2, up 3. So I'm not sure. It could be absolute value, but we can double check by our common difference. So let's do that. This would be minus 9, minus 5, minus 1, plus 3. If the blues were the same, then it would be linear, so it's not linear. So let's test now this one. Negative 9 to negative 5 would be plus 4. Negative 9 plus 4 gives me negative 5. Plus 4 and plus 4. So this means it is a second common difference, which means it is a quadratic. If it's a quadratic, it means it's x to the second. So my degree here is 2. Let's test the other side. Now, you could distribute all the way through. 3 times this would be 3. X times x. We add the same base. 3 plus 2 is 5. And 3x cubed. My highest degree there is a 5. So I have 5 and a 2. Therefore, the highest degree in this problem is this one over here. And that would be t of x. Alright, on the back side, question number 6. Analyze the graph below. Circle the function which could model the graph. And describe your reasoning to either eliminate or choose a function. It's around prom time, so I just want to use the prom as an example, okay? You know, maybe it's like a TV show. You're given 3 people who want to take you to prom. Circle the one you want to go with. Are you just going to close your eyes and be like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? No, you're like, man, he or she's too short for me. Write that down. Ew, it's kind of weird. They dated my brother or sister. Right? And you might write that down, right? It's an explanation why you said no. And like, oh, that person, they're perfect. Right? Because, oh, my friend says so. I don't know. Right? But you have an explanation. And the reason why I make fun of that is because a lot of you guys just circled an answer and you don't explain your reasoning to both eliminate too short, dated my brother or sister, or choose each function. They're perfect for me. Does that make sense? Let's go through these. Now, when I look at this graph, I notice a couple of things. I recognize they're both pointing up. That's an even function. What type of function, class? Even. It's even. When they're in the same direction, both pointing up or both pointing down, that's an even. Now, if it's both pointing up, is the a value positive or negative? The a value is positive. Another word
for the a value is leading coefficient. Here is a common mistake. Many of you you're still making the same mistake. I wrote this question up here in green. What's a negative? Because a lot of you just say that word arbitrarily. It's negative. What are you saying? This graph has a bad attitude? It's negative in life? Has a negative outlook on life? No, the a value you're saying here is negative. The leading coefficient is negative. Don't say it's negative. It's too broad. It's not specific. What? There's a negative in the equation? Does that make sense? You need to be specific. So a lot of you are just writing the word negative. I think some of you have a negative attitude about math. See? But I'm very specific, right? I'm not just saying you have a negative attitude about school. You might have a negative attitude about math. So be specific. So this one I eliminated because the leading coefficient is negative. This graph is going to look something like this. Do you see that? They're both pointing down. Let me, f of x. Now, this would be crazy. Some of you did, which is okay and perfectly fine. You multiplied all of this out. And then you took your answer and subtracted by 3. Let me show you a shortcut. You just take the x, and any exponents, and you just multiply them. Count with me. Ready, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is x to the 5th. This is an odd. Eliminated because the degree is odd and the graph shows an even. So here's a big idea we've been learning for the past 3 weeks. You can either write this one in the green box or this one over here. Because this is a 5, this one has max 5 zeros, or minus 1 for extremas. Count the zeros with me. Ready, set, go. Count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Actually, there's a bounce too. Do you see that one? So there's actually 6 in that one. So this one has 6 zeros, but over here this one only has 5. Does that make sense? So I gave you 3 points if you circled the correct one and you had some correct explanations, maybe not all of it. Okay. I gave you 2 points if you it was correct but no explanation, or maybe you have something correct. Okay. Although this was a lot of work to think through, it was only worth 4 points. So don't hang your head over it if you got it wrong. Again, the big idea is the degree tells you how many max possible number of x-intercepts, and then the number of extrema is just one less than that number. Remember, the extrema is the maximums and the minimums.
Alright, so this problem says determine each quotient using polynomial long division. So I wanted to see long division. Write the dividend as the product of the divisor and quotient plus the remainder. So how many times is x going to 2x cubed? You can do a side problem here and simplify that, and you get 2x squared. Now you're going to multiply, and right there you're going to subtract. So 2 minus 2 is 0, don't write it. -1 minus -4 means the opposite, so that means you get 4 and a -1, which gives you 3x squared. Bring that down, 13x. X goes into 3x squared, 3x times 3x times x gives you 3x squared and -6x, and then you're going to subtract. 3 minus 3 is 0. -13 minus -6, so that's -13 plus 6 gives you -7x. Bring that down, -6. X goes into -7x, -7 times. Take that number, multiply, -7x, positive 14. -7 minus -7, that comes plus, so that comes 0. And then -6 minus 14, so -6 minus 14, they're both negative, so that's a -20 is your remainder. So my dividend is what's inside the division sign is equal to the divisors, what's on the outside. It tells us the product of the quotient, that's what's on top of the division sign, right there, 2x squared plus 3x minus 7, and then the remainder is -20. So here you could have written, actually, this is incorrect, but make sure you have the negative 20, and then you put it over the divisor at x minus 2. This is supposed to be inside the parentheses. If it was outside, it's just a negative 20. So either of those will bring full credit. Now, if you wrote just the quotient correctly, meaning this, then I gave you guys only 3 points because it tells you about the product. 2 points if part of your quotient is correct and or maybe your product was incorrect. This problem only got 3 points. Notice how there is no product. This problem right here, full credit, shows all the work. Nice. You can't see the score on this one, but this one's a 3. This 20 right here should have been negative right there, and then they don't show the product.
Draw a polynomial function with the following characteristics. There are 4 characteristics. Here's the first one. When I see that sentence, this sentence frame, you should automatically think end behavior. What are you thinking, class? Those are the key words. End behavior, you should be thinking of this. As x approaches positive infinity. So here's the x-axis. And when you're going in this direction, these are positive numbers. So we call that positive infinity. Therefore, on the x-axis, this direction would be called the what? Class? Negative. On the y values are negative, so this is called the negative infinity, and going up is the positive. The end behavior says as x approaches positive infinity. Which direction is that?
Right.
You're going right. F of x is the same thing as saying the y values. It also needs to go up. So as I'm going in this direction, I need up. So what I like to do is I just like to draw an arrow that's pointing up. As x approaches negative infinity, that's left. The f of x values must be negative. This means down. So as I'm going from right to left, the very end there, it should be a negative. That's the first characteristic. The second characteristic tells us that the y-intercept should be negative 2. It just means the graph has to go through negative 2. So what I like to do is I just draw a point like this. The third characteristic says 3 x-intercepts. Now here it doesn't tell us anything specific. It doesn't say multiplicity, right? All it says, it doesn't say distinct. That's a better word you can use, distinct 3 x-intercepts. So you can put them anywhere you want. I put them here, 1, 2, and 3. And then lastly, it says 2 relative extremas. That means I need a max and a min. So there they are. So when you're drawing your graph, you should be going through the x-intercepts and try to go through the y-intercept. And those orange points, the extremas will come. You can just double check, like, all right, I have those. Okay. If you made a mistake on one of these, I gave you 3 points. I gave you 2 points if you made 2 mistakes, and I probably put an X by the bullet point that you missed to show you what you did wrong. Remember, in your quiz corrections, if there's not enough space, you might want to do it on a separate piece of paper, or definitely in different colors.
I'm going to quickly make a Pascal's triangle out over here. Remember, you start with a 1. And then you have more 1s. And the 1s are on the edges, and you add here. And you add those 2 numbers. Add these 2 numbers, add, and you'll always be in the 1 on the end. And then you add those 2 numbers, add those 2, add these 2, add those 2, and you get a 1. And remember now, it is the nth power. So nth power is going to be 0 in this row, and this will be a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if this is the 4th power here, that's what I'm going to need. And if I were doing the problem, I just expanded it to be a plus b to the 4th power. If it's to the 4th power, I look here at the nth power here, which is this row. These are my coefficients. So my coefficients are going to be 1, 4, 6, 4, and 1. And then I start over here with a's are on the left side, so I start with 4. A to the 4th, a to the 3rd, a to the 2nd, a to the 1st, a to the 0. A lot of students were missing that, and I kind of threw them off. And then notice the b's to the right, so I'm going to start over here to the right and b to the 4th. So b to the 4th, b to the 3rd, b to the 2nd, b to the 1st, b to the 0. And then if you clean this up, these are all pluses for now. If you clean this up, you don't have to write the 1 and you don't have to write b to the 0 because b to the 0 is just 1. So you have a to the 4th plus 4a3b plus 6a squared b squared. This is 4a b to the 3rd. Remember, you don't have to write the 1. You don't have to write this a to the 0, so it's just b to the 4th. If you got to this point right there, that's 2 points. Okay, here comes the harder part. Your a value, pay attention, is 3x, and your b value is negative 4. And you'll notice in green, as I write that in, it's going to be in parentheses. And look where the 4 goes. On the outside. Okay? A lot of students had put it on the inside. Look at that. Power of 2 on the outside. Why is it on the outside? Because the a value is 3x. The a value is not 3x squared. I'm going to go back now. My b value is negative 4. So anytime I see a b value, I'm going to write negative 4. I missed one. This should have been a power of 3. So negative 4. Negative 4, negative 4 to the 3rd power, this is the power of 2, and this is going to be negative 4 to the 4th power. Okay, what does 3x to the 4th power mean? I'm just going to show you once. That's 3x times 3x times 3x times 3x. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you multiply 3 to the 4th power, you will get 81, and then there's 4 x's, so that'll be x to the 4th. This is 3 to the 3rd power, which is 27. 27 times 4 times negative 4 is going to give you negative 432x cubed. So I'm still using PEMDAS. Negative 4 squared is 16. This is 9x squared. So 9 times 16 times 6 is going to give me 864. And this would be x squared. This is negative 4 cubed. Times 3 times 4, this will give me negative 768x, and negative 4 to the 4th power gives me 256. That would be your answer. What were some common mistakes in there? Making the pluses and minuses. Remember, it's to the 4th power, so if you just wrote a plus b to the 4th power and you expand it out with the coefficients, just the numbers, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, at least gave you 2 points.
Has math become harder since they added letters? Have your grades dropped? Make your parents proud. Go to the GOAT's website, www.mrmathing.net. You will bring your love of math.